cracking?
Not much. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Matt.
You got a question?
Yes, I have one question. I think you kind of touched on this, but I'd like to ask it anyways. What inspired you to go into acting? What training or experience in your childhood made you such an excellent actor at such an early age?
Wow. Well, first of all, that is like the coolest compliment. Thank you. But really, I actually love sharing this with people. All you saw was a 13-year-old black kid impersonating Ed Grimley and Pee Wee Herman. And right, I'm cracking this cameraman up over here.
This is your best audience. You're talking about, having a studio audience with
us. That's literally what it was. And then after, it's almost kind of like if you go look at the early episodes of Seinfeld with Kramer, the character was not nearly as defined in the first season as he became, and he became a lot more spastic. So after the first season, though, I stopped impersonating other people.
But wasn't Urkel supposed to be a one-off character?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a one-off character.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be one-off. So after the first season, though, I stopped really kind of impersonating Ed Grimley, and I really started kind of falling into my own pattern of, okay, this is how I walk. This is how I talk. And, I became more defined with the voice. So really, I was impersonating people that people didn't think a young black kid would impersonate. So that's what made the character completely and wholly original, which I find to be kind of cool. So now I want to keep impersonating some other people that maybe you don't think I'm impersonating.
Was there much direction?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No.
The directors?
Listen, I owe a tremendous amount of that character development to my man Rich Carell. He probably directed more episodes of Family Matters than all of the directors. Also, the guy who directed My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Joel Zwick, was one of our rotating directors, and John Tracy. And Rich was very hands-on. I remember the very first week, he was like, come here. I want you to run into this post. It's like, okay. And he's like, listen, this is the trick. You got to hit it with your foot first and then snap your head back. And I'm like, okay. And I'm actually really more of an athlete first. So he taught me how to do it, and I did it convincingly, and the producers actually thought that I had actually run into the post because it was unscripted, and that was week one. So we were making these quantum leaps in character discovery, and I definitely owe a lot of that to our directors.
Ed, do you want to jump in with another question before we let you go?
I like Ed's question.
Yeah, he's good.
Sure. This one you kind of touched on, too, but I'd kind of really like to have you elaborate a little bit more on it. How did you create the characters on Family Matters, especially Steve Urkel? You created several actors throughout the show. Right. How did you do that?
Well, the actual name, Steve Urkel, is actually a friend of Michael Warren, one of our producers. And so he can't order pizza. He hasn't. I don't think he's had a decent phone order of anything in the last 20 years.
He's had to change his name.
Yeah, no,
John Smith.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, he came to the set one time. He's like, "You've created a nightmare for me." And I can only imagine with TSA. He was like, "Hey, get this guy over here!" Yeah, the character name was a friend of one of our producers. Beyond that, I did a lot of characters on the show. I played Stefan, which resonated with a lot of women. I thought the character was boring at first, to be quite honest. And I asked our executive producer, David, he was like a father figure to me, really. I'm like, David, why are we even doing this character, Stefan? Like, it's boring. And that's just wisdom talking to naivete. And he's like, Jay, people need to see the real you. And I'm like, all right. And I walked in the door and, to play Stefan. And to this day, I've never heard a scream like that. And I'm like, I was never this guy that walked into the room and, girls swooned. I didn't have the Bieber effect. So when I heard that, again, just like I milked that comedy beat, when I heard that, though, I went with that. And I know what to do next. And Stefan just became the smoothest guy. And then you had Myrtle Urkel, and I played Bruce Lee. And it just got to the point where it almost became, comically jumping the shark, where, he told me point blank over a round of golf, he was like, and this is David, our executive producer. He's like, Jay, you're a gumball machine for me. I stick a quarter in you and another character comes out. And it's a huge compliment, but at the same time, sometimes I would look at the script and I'm like, you got me playing Bruce Lee, bro? You got me doing Elvis?
Well, we managed to find a GIF of you, or a GIF, as some people say. Like, let's take a look at this. Look at that. These are the
These are the wholesome ones. See, this is HuffPost Live. We can't put the ratchet ones up.
Yeah, we could probably get some dirty ones.
Can we get the these hoes ain't Laura? That's like my favorite one. Everybody sends these things to me.
I'll give them a 1 minute to try to find that. And in the interim, you said that writing is really what you're interested in now. How do you see the rest of your career trajectory going? Do you want to write? Do you want to act? Do you want to direct?
I'm working with some really interesting people right now, and there's a lot of. And this might sound kind of like, I don't know, revolutionary, out of the box or whatever, but there's a lot of really interesting people on Vine also. And they're changing.
We have some of them on here all the time. We get like Vine stars on, and these are incredibly talented people.
Yeah, like
they're basically getting millions of followers just by doing crazy shit.
I'm telling you, I consider them like a zombie race of performers that are just going to come up and gobble up our business because they're going to be able to promote so easily. But there's really only a few of them here and there that I really feel like have the chops, that training though, to go to the next level and actually be taken seriously at the long form.
Are you a social media guy?
Oh, I love Instagram. Follow me at JALEEL White. You know, I'm a little ratchet on Instagram though. I have fun. I'm not for kids on Instagram, even though I love to show my daughter to other parents out there. I don't go crazy, you know. But at the same time, I'm like, the internet has no rating. You basically kind of the way you have to treat the internet, and I'm kind of really into it also for my daughter's sake. Is I don't ever want there to be a point where she knows more about the internet than I do. So it's like, you have to decide at what point do you want your child to jump into the internet. It's like, okay, are we going to let her do it at 10? Are we going to let them do it at 11? Are we going to let them do it at 12?
Or maybe you dip their toe in, like, gradually.
No,
there are certain bits of the internet that are accessible.
There's no dipping.
Really?
There's no dipping, dog.
I thought they were parental, aren't there?
Get the cameraman over here. We vibing, dog. We vibing.
Let's get camera one. Let's get a shot on the cameraman on camera two. Let's just
vibing over here,
He's got some serious, he's in it. There he goes. He absolutely loves it.
He knows he has kids. There's no dipping your toe in any internet
No, but there are parental things, aren't there? There's locks and stuff. You put the locks on the computer and then they can't do it.
You think your kids aren't going to figure out how to unlock this stuff the second they're not around?
No, I mean, I don't know.
Once your kid has a Vine account or an Instagram account, it is on. And God forbid they get Snapchat, it is really on.
Snapchat.
All right? You're going to want to put a chastity belt around your daughter, like straight up. Like, there will be no selfies right there.
I love it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Great to have you here.
Congratulations
on the movie, and good luck with your movie next year, writing and directing. Can't wait to see it. The SantaCon it premieres December 13th on Lifetime. Stay tuned for plenty more conversations coming up here on HuffPost Live.
This is HuffPost Live. I'm Ricky Camilleri. From acting in Do the Right Thing to being a fly girl on In Living Color and now co-hosting The View, Rosie Perez has been a pop culture and New York icon over a nearly 3-decade-long career. And I am incredibly thrilled to have Rosie joining me now. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm a humongous fan. I've been a fan since I saw White Men Can't Jump and Do the Right Thing when I was younger. I love those films.
Oh, thank you.
I've loved your career for so long. I'm curious, when you decided to, right off the bat, when you decided to take The View, a daily hosting gig, what were your hesitations going into that? What were the immediate hesitations?
Everything.
Let's go down the laundry list then. Let's hear it.
Number one, waking up at the crack ass of dawn.
Yeah.
That was a big factor.
You got to do that sometimes when you're on set.
Yeah, but you know that the movie's going to end.
Yeah, that's not... It's a week of that, maybe two.
Yeah, exactly. And also the time commitment. Mm-hmm. I knew that was going to change a lot of things, and I loved my life. I was very, very happy prior to this offer, just do a movie here and there, play here and there. I was good. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of time to do a lot of my charity work. So that was also... And then lastly, I just wanted to make sure that the panel it was going to be a panel of very intelligent, very opinionated, and respectful women.
Right, because you were coming in during a time of change, so you didn't really know you didn't know at the time, maybe when you were signing your contracts, I don't know if you did, who the other panelists were going to be, did you?
I knew Whoopi was on, and then later found out that Rosie was on, and I knew both of those women prior.
Did you have a friend in them essentially prior?
Yeah, we were friendly. I would say that, and because I didn't see them all the time, and Nicole Wallace, I didn't know. I didn't know her personally. I never met her, so I was concerned about that as well.
Did you meet her first before signing the contract? Did you get to know her? You just jumped in.
Yeah.
And it's working out pretty well, right? You feeling good about it?
Yes, except for the early morning hours. It's hell. It's hell, people. It really is. It really is.
What time do you have to get up?
Well, since I live in Brooklyn, because you can never predict the traffic on the FDR, I have to get up like 5:30, 6. Can we talk?
Yeah, we can
I'm
talk.
exhausted.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. You don't look exhausted. You look great, but I bet. I mean, I think I got up at like 7 this morning. The morning before was like 6. And come around 3:30, 4 o'clock, I need 2 more coffees.
You're
I'm
ready
going
to
down.
crash. Yes.
Yeah. So how are you when you go live at what, 10, 10:30?
No, we go live at 11.
11, right, exactly. So how are you at that point? Because now you've been up for 5, 6 hours.
Yeah, I'm not awake. I'm not awake, and when I go out there, what pumps me up is really the audience. When you go out there and they're like just screaming and having a good time, and they're just happy to be there, then that kind of like that refuels me, and I get into it.
What are you doing for those few hours before 11 o'clock? Are you choosing stories with the other hosts, going through stories with the producers? How have you found that process going? Because you are coming from an acting background, a dancing background. You're not necessarily coming from a news background like maybe Nicole is, or even Rosie, who had not a news background, but she was on The View before. She also had her daytime talk show. So how do you feel you're adjusting to that morning process, outside of being exhausted from having to wake up?
Well, I think that's probably one of my favorite parts. It's very titillating to be in a room full of very opinionated women, as well as the producers, and we have like a lively conversation. It's just it's fun, and it's weird because, like you said, this is not my forte, and it's been a learning curve. I'm still learning. I'm still adjusting, and I'm taking it day by day. I think initially when I went on my first week, I just kept having anxiety attacks. Every time we cut to commercial, Rosie would go, "You're right, you're right," and Whoopi's like, "You're doing good, girl."
Really? What were you doing that made them think that they had to do that? Could they tell?
Well, even when I'm on a couch, on a talk show, usually I'm always nervous anyway.
Yeah.
I'm a very kind of weird gal, me personally, and I'm also very, very private. And to go out every single day.
How did you take this job, Rosie?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
It's insane. I'm going cuckoo in the head. I'm telling you. That's what my sister said. Girl, what the hell are you doing?
You just gave a list of reasons that you would be uncomfortable with doing this job that you're here to talk about. That's amazing.
And my friends and my family called me on it. They're like, you need to relax. If you said you're going to do this, you got to find a way to make this work for you. You need to calm down and you need to relax. And so I took their advice to heart. And
Irish coffee in the morning?
No. Bustelo is my choice. So but I'm having a good time. I am.
That's good.
A good time.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think you're doing a phenomenal job. You and everybody else. I think it's a great lineup right now. There's always, when it comes to The View, I feel like it's one of those shows where people always want to hear rumors about backstage gossip. They always want backstage gossip of some kind. Do you think it's because people assume, because of maybe it's a sexist society that we live in, that women are backstage gossiping and being catty with each other? Yeah.
It's pure sexism at play. Because listen, you look about one of my favorite shows, Hardball, right? You see the spit coming out of Chris's mouth at times when he gets really passionate. And even on Meet the Press, remember Giuliani and Mike Eric Tyson? Oh my gosh, I thought they were going to go to fisticuffs. They didn't call that a cat fight.
Right.
They didn't even call it a brawl. They called it a debate.
Right.
But when we do it, it's a cat fight. It's meow. We hate each other, and that is just not the case.
Or there's like an expectation for the women backstage to be sort of demure and take direction and not have any sort of opinion themselves about what they're going to talk about. And say, okay, fine, we'll talk about that, rather than, having an opinion, being